Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so I did a general overview of the whole situation in the previous video, giving an update on Alvin Bragg's indictment, the CNN leak, and my general opinion of the whole thing. Now we should probably delve a little bit deeper into everything that's happening around the indictment. We'll of course start off with Donald Trump's official response, as the 45th President of the United States has released an official statement. Actually, two statements, one press release and one Truth Social statement. So let's take a look at what the former president has to say in this whole thing. We also have some other statements and reactions, from Ron DeSantis to the RNC chair Ronna McDaniel. Then I want to get into what the Democrats are saying. Let's get into more detail over this Trump indictment. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so as you can see here on the screen, Donald Trump has officially released a statement. Let's see what the 45th President of the United States had to say. Statement by Donald John Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. This is a political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. From the time I came down the golden escalator at Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your President of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of the hard-working men and women of this country, have been engaged in a witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great Again movement. You remember it just as I do. Russia, 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 the Mueller hoax. Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid. And now this. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with the trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. Never before in our nation's history has this been done. The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States and by far the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before, ever. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. Rather than stopping the unprecedented crime wave over New York City, he's doing Joe Biden's dirty work, ignoring the murders and burglaries and assaults he should be focused on. This is how Bragg spends his time. I believe this witch hunt will backfire massively on Joe Biden. The American people will realize exactly what the radical left Democrats are doing here. Everyone can see it, and so our movement and our party, united and strong, will first defeat Alvin Bragg, and then we will defeat Joe Biden. We are going to throw every last one of these crooked Democrats out of office so we can make America great again. He then followed up with this Truth Social statement. These thugs and radical left monsters have just indicted the 45th President of the United States of America and the leading Republican candidate by far for the 2024 nomination for president. This is an attack on our country, the likes of which has never been seen before. It is likewise a continuing attack on our once free and fair elections. The USA is now a third world nation, a nation in serious decline. So sad. Now, Donald Trump is right about a couple things here. Firstly, he's right on the issue of Alvin Bragg's distorted legal priorities. New Yorkers are currently sounding the alarm of a return of the bad old days.
Well, it's a harsh reality here in the city. There's more crime, and it's causing a lot of us to make some changes to our daily routines.
That's right. From how we dress to how we act, Lisa Evers spoke with some New Yorkers about all the things they've started to do differently.
Crime scenes have become familiar in many neighborhoods as the NYPD deals with a post-pandemic society facing many challenges. Longtime city residents have their own views on how crime today compares to back in the bad old days of past decades.
It's just getting worse. It's unbelievable. You can't even go out to the street.
This Upper West Side resident has lived here for 70 years and explains why.
Kids killing kids. Kids walking around with guns. School kids taking guns to school. We never saw that.
Another resident who's lived in the community 50 years tells us it's much worse than at any other time.
A New York City police union is publicly slamming the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg for emboldening criminals and making cops less safe. The New York Post is reporting that under Alvin Bragg's leadership, convictions have plummeted as 52% of felony cases have been downgraded to misdemeanors under his leadership. As crime is spiraling out of control in New York City, Alvin Bragg is focused on a weak, pathetic case that has passed the statute of limitations so he can give the Democrats the headline that they want, that Donald Trump has been indicted, that Donald Trump is most likely going to be arraigned, mugshot, fingerprints, perp walk, possibly even in handcuffs, which is what the New York Times is reporting. So all these these paid Democrat shills can push the narrative, push the talking point like Robert Reich on Twitter through his Inequality Media Civic Action Group.
Donald Trump has been indicted. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people say that this is a dangerous precedent to set, but they are wrong. You see, in order for the justice system to work, there must be trust. That is, trust that the system will not play favorites or ignore the wrongdoing of the powerful. Donald Trump has done everything possible to destroy that trust for his own political gain. Trump claims that this is all a witch hunt in order to rile up his base. But let's get one thing straight. It's not radical to prosecute a former president if that former president actually committed a crime. Holding our leaders accountable is vital to maintaining trust in our legal system and the survival of our democracy itself. No one is above the law is only true if we make it so.
The same old talking point that no one is above the law, and this proves no one is above the law, even a president of the United States. Such a ridiculous claim. First of all, a grand jury indictment means absolutely nothing. The famous quote is, "A grand jury could indict a ham sandwich." You know, Democrats are parading this headline as if it's proof that Donald Trump committed a crime. It's proof of absolutely nothing. It's an indictment. Donald Trump is still innocent until proven guilty. Not to mention, they keep just parroting the same bullshit talking point. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Notice how not a single one of these Democrat clowns can actually coherently describe or argue what law Donald Trump broke in the first place. Someone needs to educate these Democrats that an indictment is not a conviction. I seem to remember Democrats doing the same thing throughout the impeachment processes. Donald Trump officially impeached. Well, he was exonerated on every single impeachment. Robert Mueller reaches conclusion in his investigation. Yet again, total exoneration of the former president. Trump is being charged by a grand jury, which means absolutely nothing. And of course, the irony of this statement of no one being above the law. Well, apparently no one's above the law except for Hillary Clinton, who broke the exact same election law. Hillary Clinton, who was literally fined by the FEC for breaking election law. But of course, a grand jury in a felony case would never be brought against Hillary Clinton. She's above the law, but Donald Trump gets indicted by a grand jury for supposedly breaking federal election law for a personal transaction that he didn't even pay, that Michael Cohen paid. Again, let me repeat that: a personal payment made to an individual, not a campaign payment, which he didn't even make, his lawyers did, which Michael Cohen admitted. No one is above the law. Give me a freaking break. These Democrats are some of the worst people imaginable. And I mean, speaking of the worst people imaginable, and the idea that Robert Reich mentioned in the video.
Now, you're going to hear a lot of people say that this is a dangerous precedent to set.
Well, let's talk about setting precedent. If it's this easy to secure an indictment against a former president or former public officials, well, let's see what happens once the pendulum swings. I mean, Obama is basically a war criminal who also faced multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign violation fines, the Hillary Clinton Steele dossier, Hillary Clinton emails, Joe Biden on the classified documents case, Joe Biden being 10% for the big guy Joe. If no one is above the law, then how about we launch grand jury investigations into all of them? Let's see where that goes. The most likely end result is Donald Trump being totally exonerated and everybody else being found guilty. Anyways, you guys get that. I want to really quickly touch on Ron DeSantis' response and Ronna McDaniel as well. Ron DeSantis chimed in after the Trump indictment dropped. He writes on Twitter, "The weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It's un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies and to excuse criminal misconduct, yet now he is stretching the law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in an extradition request given the questionable circumstances at issue with this Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor and his political agenda." Now, while I give Ron DeSantis partial credit for the stance that he's taking, just like the last video we did on Ron DeSantis in relation to the Trump indictment, I have my issues. Firstly, I have an issue with these Ron DeSantis responses because if you notice, the Florida governor refuses to say Donald Trump's name, stretching the law to target a political opponent. His name is Donald John Trump, former president of the United States and the only reason that you're in office. I also find it a little bit manipulative because Donald Trump's legal team is most likely going to cooperate fully with the district attorney's office in New York. Ron knows this, and I feel like he's using it to collect brownie points for himself. I'm really not feeling the tweet. Then we have Ronna McDaniel issuing a weak statement in response to Trump indictment. She simply wrote, "When our justice system is weaponized as a political tool, it endangers all of us. This is a blatant abuse of power from a DA focused on political vengeance instead of keeping people safe." I don't know, just to sum it all up, fascist Democrats are stretching the law, twisting the law to indict the former president of the United States, and we're getting these weird, vague, bland political statements from top Republican politicians. I'm just not feeling it. I'm much more on the Trump description, along the lines of this is an attack on our country the likes of which has never been seen before. A continuing attack on our once free and fair elections. The USA is now a third world nation, a nation in serious decline. I even think that doesn't go far enough. The Democrats have crossed the line which should have never been crossed. And frankly, after the precedent has been set, I'm not exactly sure how you can go back. Things are about to get real freaking crazy. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.